So in the previous class, we have discussed about we started with our second unit, that is about the network layer, and we discussed about what are the challenges that will be faced in designing the working of the network layer, or what are the problems that may be faced to accomplish the task of the network layer, that is to reach the goals of the network layer. What are the challenges that we need to face? So I discussed about the concept of store and forward packet switching. I hope you remember this. Everyone remember this store and forward packet switching? What is the meaning of that? So what basically router does? Can somebody tell me what is the basic function of a router in case of the store and forward? Anisha, can you tell me? Is what a router will do. Is anybody else?
It finds the best.
Okay.
Sir, it finds the best possible route.
Okay. Apart from this, then what is the meaning of store and forward? Directly it forwards the packet, or what it will do? It will store
the connect.
Okay.
The channel is busy, it will store.
So whether it will check.
Packets are error free.
Okay. So it will check the line, whether the outgoing line is free or no. So until and unless the line is busy, it will store that packet, and once the line is free, it will forward it. So this is what we have studied with the store and forward packet switching. And then we discussed two important concepts, that is implementation of connection oriented service and connectionless. So in case of connectionless, what will happen?
The packet different paths.
Okay, the packets can follow different paths. That means initial setup is not required, but whereas in case of the connection oriented, all the packets will follow the same path, and routers cannot make the decisions. Initially, before the actual transmission of the packets starts, the connection will be established between the source and the destination machine. So this is what we have studied, and then we'll be discussing about the comparison of virtual circuit and datagram subnet, or we can consider also this as the connection oriented and connectionless service. So among these two, which is the connection oriented one, virtual circuit or datagram?
Virtual circuit.
Okay, and datagram circuit, datagram subnet is a connectionless. Okay, so we have discussed, this is also very much asked, most of the times asked, the comparison or difference between the connection oriented or connectionless, or it can be virtual circuit and datagram subnet. So this we have understood circuit setup and addressing. So in case of virtual circuit subnet, each packet contains a short PC number, like in the first unit in the ATM we have discussed, like it will have something called as VCI, virtual circuit identifier. So that will be there for every packet. But in case of this, each packet contains the full source and destination address. It is like our IP addresses. So it will be like 192.168. So and so. So complete address will be there from the source to the destination machine. But here, in case of virtual circuit, each packet contains a small virtual circuit identifier, or we can say it as the virtual circuit number. Then the state information, like routers do not hold state information about the connections. That means what? How many output lines are there, or how many incoming packets are there, and who are the neighbors, and so on. Like for example, consider this router A. For router A, B and C are the neighbors. For router B, A, C, D are the neighbors. So in case of this connection oriented, each virtual circuit requires router table space per connection. So it maintains the router table and all the connection details. But in case of datagram subnet, since it is a connectionless service, it will not maintain the information about all the outgoing lines, and other information will not be maintained in case of the datagram subnet. And how the routing will take place? In case of this connectionless, each packet is routed independently. So every packet can use its own path, or which will be decided by the router. It may be same or it may be different every time. But in case of this, route chosen when virtual circuit is set up. So this is exactly like connection oriented. So if the route is already chosen, every packet should follow the same path. Then effect of router failures, none except for packets lost during the crash. So what will happen if the routers fail? In case of connection less, if one of the router fails, okay, for example, if you consider this again, if a packet has to be transmitted from A to F, and if it's choosing the path from A to C, C to E, and so on, even if the, say for example, after say 10 minutes or 15 minutes, if the router C or E, if it is affected or if it is damaged, then what will happen? The packet can choose different path. That is, alternative path can be used. So if any router is crashed or damaged, the process will not be stopped or halted. Okay, because the route packets can choose different paths since it is a connectionless. But whereas in case of this, connection oriented, all VCs that pass through the failed router are terminated. So if in case of connection oriented, if a router fails, so these are the issues that we are discussing. So if a router is failed, like in case of connection oriented, if a router is failed, for example, C, and already we have established a connection that all the packets should follow the same path, that is from A to C, C to E, and E to F. So if these route, one of the routers, whether it is E or C or any one of these is failed, then what will happen? The process will be stopped or it will be terminated. All VCs, that is virtual circuits that pass through the failed router, are terminated because it cannot transfer the package to the destination. Then what is about the quality of surface? In case of connection oriented, it is easy enough if enough resources can be allocated in advance for each virtual circuit. It will be compared to the connectionless, quality of service will be easy because here the path is already fixed. Before we actually start transmitting the packets, the connection is established well in advance. The quality of service means it can be like different factors, like what will be the speed, what will be the efficiency, how many packets we can transfer, and so on. And we know that the route is not going to change. But whereas in case of connectionless, every time the route may be different. So the how many packets you are going to transfer per second or in allocated time, it will be very difficult to identify that. So whether it is efficient or no, and so on. So depending on that, we define the quality of service. So in case of connectionless, it is difficult, but whereas in this virtual circuit subnet, it is easy. Again, congestion control. So what is the meaning of congestion basically? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of congestion? What is the meaning of congestion? Now discuss this. Congestion means it is like traffic, network traffic. So in which case you can easily solve the problem of network traffic in whether it is in connection oriented or connectionless.
Connection oriented.
Why? You can easily identify or you can solve the congestion traffic there.
Because
And
the
why not?
connection is established before.
In advance.
Yeah, it is advanced. If there is a connection, for example, consider that this is a connection oriented one, okay, and all the packets are following, say, consider that there is some traffic here, okay. So how you are going to solve it? Is this possible? Yes, it is possible. Why? Because we know that the path is going to be fixed. It is not going to change. So what we will do? We will check this path, whether this router is busy or this router is busy or what has happened to this route. So only one route we need to check. So even if there is any network traffic or traffic jam that is happening, we can easily solve it. Why? Because we know that the path is fixed. That is, it is from A to F, it is from A to C, from C to E, and E to F. So there can be possibility of network jam only at this path. But what if you are using a connection less service, and if there is some network traffic, so we don't know, there can be n number of alternative paths. In our diagram, we have considered only 2 to 3 routes, but in reality, there can be n number of routes. So it is very difficult to check in which route there is a network traffic jam and so on and so forth. So it is difficult to handle the congestion. So in case of connection oriented, congestion control is easy, but whereas in connection less, congestion control is difficult. Are we clear with this all? Anybody has any doubts there?
No, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So next we will discuss the important concept, that is the routing algorithms. So what is the basic function of the network layer? As everyone knows, in the previous semester we had discussed about the data link layer and other physical layer in detail. But in this case, we are going to study about the network layer, transport layer, and the application layer in detail. So the basic function of a network layer is routing. That is, the main function of network layer is to routing of packets from source machine to the destination machine. Like if you remember in the first unit also we have discussed, in case of data link layer, it is from the intermediate node. It is like from one machine to the next machine, that's it. But in case of network layer, it is responsible for transferring or transmitting the packet or the data from the source machine to the destination machine. So that is the basic task of the network layer. So when we want to do this, we require something called as the routing. And who will do this task? Routing will be done by whom? Who will be responsible for
Network
routing
layer.
this? Network layer, fine. But what device we can use? We have discussed this. What devices? Router. Good. So what a router will do? Is it an intelligent or it is not an intelligent machine, a device? We have discussed this also. So router is basically a intelligent device, and as the name suggests, router, its task is to find the best route, or we can say optimum route, or we can say minimum cost. So within the short period, the packet has to be transmitted to the next router or to the next node in the subnet or to the next device in the network. So then, before studying this, so we can understand that a router will have some, as we know that it is a intelligent machine, so it should have what? Some kind of software should exist in that. Then only it can think about it. If it is like just like a normal electronic device without any intelligence, it cannot make any routing decisions, which is the best path, which is having a small time period so that we can send the packet, or which path is free or which path is not having any traffic. So this has to be made, these decisions has to be made by the router. So router is a intelligent device, and this router will have some softwares running on it. So those are nothing but the algorithms, we can say. So the software responsible for designing the best route to transfer, we call it as the routing algorithm. Are we clear with what is the routing algorithm? So what is a routing algorithm? It is a software, or we can say set of softwares responsible for deciding the best route to transfer data. Okay, so that all decisions, or that all analysis and everything will be done by the routing algorithm, which will be running on a router. So router is basically a intelligent device. And then we will discuss about the types of broader categories of routing algorithms, that is the adaptive routing and non-adaptive routing. So again, in that we have different categories of adaptive routing and non-adaptive routing algorithms. So one by one we'll be discussing. All these routing algorithms can be asked for 5 to 10 marks. So we are not going to actually implement a program for this in reality. Okay, when you actually want to transfer the packets in reality, there will be some programs uh, that have been designed, and those package or that entire set of software is running on the router. So by using these routing algorithms, the softwares have been designed, and based on that, a router can make a decision to forward the packets or whether to not to forward the packet, or which path is free and which is congested and so on. So the types of routing algorithms can be adaptive routing and non-adaptive routing. Let's study one by one. The first one we'll be studying is about the non-adaptive routing algorithms. As the name suggests, non-adaptive. So adaptive means what? Like for example, there is a pandemic. So we human beings are adapting to the new normal. Like to the new situations, we are able to adapt for that. But like for the animals, it is they cannot adapt to these conditions. They don't know. But we as a human being, we can wear masks, we can take precautions, and so on. We can adapt for the changes. Similarly, there are two categories, that is non-adaptive routing algorithms and adaptive routing algorithms. So in case of non-adaptive routing algorithms, they are like static algorithms, we can say, or static routing algorithms. And in case of this non-adaptive routing algorithms, the routing decision is always same. That is, it is always constant. For example, suppose say that you want to go from your home to say some office or to a bank. There is or a person who always works in a bank, and he has got a fixed path. So every day he goes to the same office with the same route. He will never make, he will never take any alternative routes, even though if they are available. So these algorithms are similar to that. Once the path is chosen, they will follow the same path. They will never change their decisions. Suppose that person, when he is going, if there is some traffic, okay, and if there are some alternative routes, but he cannot choose that. That means the routing decision is always going to remain same, and they are static. They will never change their decision, or the path. They will never change their path, and they will follow the same constant route. And in case of this non-adaptive routing algorithms, these routing decisions, which path has to be selected, or which path is free, and through which path we can transfer the packets and so on, they are already preloaded. Okay, so they are not like as and when it is required, they can be changed and so on. They're already preloaded into the routers, and then they do not adapt to the network traffic. If there is any network traffic, or if there is any congestion, or if the subnet is overloaded with more number of packets and so on, they cannot change to the network traffic. So these are called as the non-adaptive routing algorithms. So these are the characteristics of non-adaptive routing algorithms, we can say. Are we following it, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next, we have something called as the dynamic, or for example, or sorry, adaptive routing algorithms, and they are called as they are dynamic in nature. That means even though if there is path, like a person, or you want to come to college, you'll be following a route. Then if there is some traffic, or if the path is not free, then you can take a alternative path. Similarly, in a subnet, if the path is not free, or if the path is having some congestion, or if there is network traffic, then alternative routes can be found out by the router or by these routing algorithms, and the paths can be changed. So they are dynamic in nature. Routing decision keeps on changing. Like we cannot say that this is the fixed route that every packet should follow, because if there is any network traffic, or if there is any congestion, or if there is any problem with the router itself, next router and so on, the decision will be always changing. It is not like constant one. Then it is not a constant route. Sometimes it will follow the path for say for 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes it will follow a different path and so on. And these information like which is the path and other things, they are not preloaded, but whereas in case of this routing algorithms, they are preloaded. And the one important thing is they can adapt to the network traffic. They can adapt to the network traffic. These are the two broader categories of adaptive and non-adaptive routing algorithms. So I repeat, so what is a non-adaptive? It is a static, or they can be also called as non-adaptive, can be called as static, it can be called as dynamic. The routing decision is always going to remain same. They cannot change their path, even though if there is some traffic and other things. So it is constant route. Routing path and other decisions and other things are already preloaded to the routers, and they do not adapt to the network traffic. But whereas adaptive, they are dynamic. Routing decisions will always changes, or it keeps on changing. They will not follow the constant route. According to the requirement, they can change it. That is, according to the network traffic, they can change it, and the informations and other things are not preloaded. But whereas in this case, when the router is booted or when the router is started, it is be preloaded. So in our syllabus, we have few algorithms like shortest path routing, distance vector routing, link state routing, hierarchical routing, and so on, broadcast, multicast, and so on. For importance, we'll be studying these first 4 or 5, and the broadcast and multicast routing, even though they are not there, but we'll be discussing brief or in short, we will be discussing. So actually they have given a program for this, or algorithm they have given, but we are not going to write the algorithm for it. We are going to study the working of that algorithm. Like for example, shortest path routing. So for that we have a data structure, we have a algorithm, but we are not going to implement the algorithm in practical way. We are going to study how this algorithm works, and only in terms of theoretical approach, we are going to study that. The first one amongst them that we are going to discuss is something called as the flooding. So it is basically a non-adaptive routing algorithm. When we say non-adaptive, whether it is static or dynamic, non-adaptive.
Static.
Okay.
Static.
So in case of flooding, after studying, you may think like if it has got so many drawbacks, then why we use it? But let's study about the concept of flooding. We cannot say that it is like a complete algorithm, but we can consider this like a technique or a method of transferring the packets in the subnet from one router to the next router or to the next neighboring devices and so on. So here what I have shown is, so in case of flooding, every incoming packet is sent out on every outgoing line except the one it arrived on. So that means what here, all these boxes, this is nothing but like a subnet I have taken, and these all are blue color ones are the routers, and these are the packets. So in case of flooding, what it will do is, it will, if a packet is arriving, so suppose that there is some subnet is there, or from this router a packet is arriving. So what this router will do, when the packet comes in, if it is using a flooding algorithm, if it is flooding algorithm running on this particular router, then this packet will be transmitted to the this packet will be routed, or it will be sent to every outgoing line. So for this particular router, how many lines are connected? Can you tell me? How many outgoing lines are there for this? One here, second here, third here. So every incoming packet will be sent out on every outgoing line, or to the every outgoing line except the one it has arrived on. So by doing this, what will happen? So then how it will reach the destination? That means in case of flooding, when the routers don't know about their neighbors, or when the routers are just booted and they do not have state information about where is the destination machine is present, or they don't know how many subnets are there, or how many destinations are there, so that the packets can be reached to the destination. In such situation, it will the router will take the packet and it will send it to the every outgoing line. So by doing this, what we are doing is we are duplicating the packets. Okay, so every packet is duplicated. That means from this router, two packets have been, three duplicate packets have been sent. So by doing these, by creating these duplicate packets, by hook or by crook, or by finally at the end of the day, we can say, or after some time, a packet will reach the destination, irrespective of how much time it takes. Because again, this packet arrives, again there will be a next subnet or the next router. Again, this packet will be sent to the next subnet or the next router, and so on. So by duplicating these kinds of packets, at a certain point of time, a packet will reach the destination. Are you getting it? Whether there is a network traffic involved or not, because we are duplicating. So every router will take the packet and
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, your voice is not clear. It is so fast.
Sir, it is breaking also.
Yes, sir.
So in case of flooding, every incoming packet will be sent on every outgoing line. So by doing this, we will create, or we are creating duplicate packets. And once we create these duplicate packets, at certain point of time, packet that we want to send to the destination machine, it will reach the destination machine. So at certain point, say like from this packet will arrive at this. Again to this, there is another subnet that is connected. The packet will go there, and that router will again send it to two of its neighboring lines, and so on and so forth. So by creating these duplicate packets, at certain point of time, the packet will reach the destination. Our objective is what? Our objective is to take the packet from the source machine to the destination machine. So this is what we call it as the flooding technique. So at certain point of time, a hook or by crook, the packet will reach the destination machine. Are we getting it, everyone? So, but what is the major problem that we can face? The flooding obviously generates vast number of duplicate packets. In fact, an infinite number, unless some measures are taken to dam the process. So like you can see here in this case, so there are some different packets. Whatever we have discussed here, it is only one packet. But when we are actually communicating, we want to transmit large number of different packets. That is the small units of data. So in such situation, what will happen? Suppose that we want to transfer 100 packets, and every packet is transmitted to two lines. So it may create thousands or lakhs or crores of packets, or duplicate packets will be moving inside the subnet, or they will be circulated inside the subnet. So because of this, what will happen? Network traffic will be generated, and so on and so forth. So these duplicate packets will happen if you use this process. You can see in this case. Okay, so from the source machine, the packets are arriving, and then again these packets will be sent to this particular router and this particular router, and so on. So from the source machine to the destination machines, the packet can arrive from this path as well as from this path. So we are considering for our case only two paths, but if there is some other subnet, if it is connected, so the packets may come from this path as well. So what will happen for the destination machine? Destination machine will have a confusion whether this is the original packet or this is the original packet, because it will get too many duplicate packets. Because what we are doing, we are just flooding the packets. We are just distributing the packet to the every outgoing line which is connected to the routers. So this is one problem that we have with related to the flooding technique. And you can say that it is a static algorithm. That means it is a non-adaptive routing algorithm. So instead of saying like data structure and other things and making it as an algorithm, we can consider flooding like as a mechanism or a method, we can say. Here this flooding, everyone. Are we clear with this
Yes, sir.
concept of flooding? Then what are the advantages of this flooding? Okay, so it can be used in military applications. Like for example, this flooding basically used when the routers are booted, that is when they are started and they don't know about their neighbors and they don't know about where is the destination machine is present. So in such situations, they can use the flooding. That means the moment they get the packets, they will send it to its neighbors or to the outgoing lines, so that at some certain point of time, the packets can be reached to the destination machine. So in case of, for example, military applications, when you want to send your data, which is very confidential in nature, in such situations, and you want to send it as early as possible to your destination or to the uh, respective machine. In such situation, we can use the military applications, so that by hook or by crook, the data or the packet or the information will be reached to the destination. And the one more thing that we can observe here in this case is, even though some routers are failed or if the routers are congested, it can send the packet via different routes as well, because every router will transmit to the every outgoing line. So because of this nature, at a certain point of time, from the source to the destination machine, the packet will be transmitted for surely, because the path is not fixed here. That means uh, every router can send the packet to some other neighboring routers and so on and so forth. Or it can be also used in distributed database applications, like where we want to have the replication of the databases, which has to be used by different people in the organization. We can use it in, and then we can also use it in the wireless networks. And also it can be considered or can be used as a measuring tool or technique to compare the other routing algorithms. So by using, or like for example, we have the shortest path routing algorithm, link state routing algorithm, how those routing algorithm works with this flooding algorithm. To compare the different algorithms, this flooding algorithm can be also used. These are the applications of flooding algorithm. Are we clear with this? Everyone?